When Xbox Game Pass first came out, it kind of was a really unique concept in the gaming industry. Sure, there had been other services like this along the way that kind of were hit or miss, but Xbox was kind of the first company to make this a regular thing. And while it started out as something that was kind of gimmicky and maybe the game selection wasn't outstanding, Xbox has really shown up in making the Xbox Game Pass something actually worth buying. I mean, it's a subscription service for $10 a month, and with that low entry cost to get access to some great games is really appealing to a lot of gamers. And with the success that the Xbox Game Pass has had so far, it's very obvious that Microsoft's kind of going all in with the service. They've been putting their major first-party releases on Game Pass for people to access, which is something really new. The fact that $60 games are now all of a sudden available for people to just try out for $10 outright, while also creating a larger player base for a game that might not have had as many active players as it would have had it not released on the Game Pass. And while the Game Pass has come a long way, there's some games that really would do well and really need to come to the Game Pass that would be great for both the game developers who've made the games and for players to have access to. So today we're looking at 9 games that need to be on the Xbox Live Game Pass. Let's go ahead and get into it. First up, we have the Modern Warfare Trilogy, or more specifically, Modern Warfare 2, but we'll put the whole trilogy on this list. Honestly, we're surprised that we haven't seen a lot of Call of Duty games make their way onto the Xbox Live Game Pass, especially considering these games are backwards compatible and have a huge following as a whole. More specifically, it's really looking like Infinity Ward is going to be having to make some sort of release this year, and let's be honest, the best Call of Duty games that Infinity Ward have made to date are easily the Modern Warfare Trilogy. I mean, especially if Infinity Ward is planning on putting out Modern Warfare 4 later this year, as it's rumored, or even if they decide to do something different, it would be good PR for them to have both old players and new players remember what Infinity Ward's made in the past that was really good. And while these games still have tight-knit communities on the Xbox that play these games regularly, having it on the Game Pass would introduce a ton of new players to the franchise, and that would be awesome. Next up, we have Rainbow Six Siege. We've done full reviews on Rainbow Six in the past, and as some of you guys know, I am a huge fan of this game. I've been playing it since launch. Rarely do you see a game developer put as much energy as Ubisoft has into creating an atmosphere where the game has been supported for 4 years, and the fact that they're constantly adding updates, new characters, and new maps is a really nice touch. And even though Ubisoft's done a pretty decent job at transforming their game into a game as a service format, with this game having so many different versions you can buy, it can be a huge turnoff to new players interested in this game, especially since the learning curve is so high. In the most recent update, it shows that Ubisoft is now introducing a newcomer playlist to the game to try to help newer players learn the game faster in a less toxic environment. And if this game was introduced into the Xbox Live Game Pass, it would allow a ton of players to try out the game and decide for themselves if they like the game, while still giving Ubisoft as a developer a chance to make additional revenue, as people who would maybe not play the game because of the high entry price might still be interested in trying the game and falling in love with it, and then putting money in for some of the residual things that you can buy, like new operators, skins, or alpha packs. Especially with this game getting into the later years of its life, the fact that it still has an active community, if this game was added to the Game Pass, it would allow for way more accessibility across the board for players to be introduced to Rainbow Six Siege, or for existing players to try it on the Xbox. Next up, we have Conker's Bad Fur Day, or we could go ahead and do the whole Rare replay while we're at it. Honestly, in the early 2000s when Xbox acquired Rare, it was a huge deal because before, Nintendo had been publishing all of the Rare titles. And while Rare with Nintendo made Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark, and a ton of other games, it was a real shame that Microsoft never really did much with all of the IPs they acquired when they purchased Rare. And while it is cool that a lot of the games that Rare has worked on in the past are on the Game Pass, Conker is one of the funniest games that Rare has ever made, and it's a real shame that it's not released on the Game Pass yet, especially because Live and Reloaded, that was made as an enhancement to the original game for the original Xbox, exists. This was a game I wasn't allowed to play as a kid because it was rated M and I was a little squeaker on the Nintendo 64, so I want to finally be able to play this on the Xbox, and we're just waiting for it to be added to the Game Pass. Next up, we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Let's be honest, Skyrim is a great game that came out 8 years ago on the Xbox 360. And over the years, we've seen Bethesda completely milk this game in a release on pretty much every platform you could imagine. And that's not bad. The game is really fun and still worth a playthrough today. But as I feel like most gamers have purchased this game once or twice or 3 times on several different occasions, maybe it's time this game finally reaches a new platform that's a little bit more accessible to everyone. Especially since Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be coming out in the future. This being more accessible might get people hyped up for that game. Plus, Elder Scrolls Online is already available in the Xbox Game Pass. So let's kind of make the world of Elder Scrolls awesome again and get people interested in this franchise. With that, we also would like to see Fallout 76 released on the Xbox Live Game Pass. Let's be honest, Fallout 76 was a colossal failure at the end of the day. The community is slowly dying. People were very upset with the game just being broken and unfinished upon its release, and overall, it was a pretty big PR nightmare. Sure, Bethesda is right now trying to fix up the game. They're putting patches out where they can, but this is quickly becoming a Master Chief Collection type situation where no one's playing the game even after the fixes because, honestly, they had their chance and they missed it, and they're taking too long to fix things up. However, if this game was released on the Game Pass, I believe Bethesda would get some goodwill back from the community while also getting new players introduced to the game who might not scrutinize the nuances of the games, especially with some of the fixes that they've made, because hey, at the end of the day, it was included in their already existing subscription. This game really relies on having an online ecosystem and an online presence, and without players playing the game, what they do have left will likely fall off the game. Now, there is a chance this game will eventually go free to play already, so we'd also like to see maybe Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas on the Game Pass, especially since Fallout 3 is available to play right now. Next up, we'd like to see the BioShock trilogy also added to the Xbox Live Game Pass. Overall, these games are just absolutely gorgeous, atmospheric games that were just a huge deal in the previous generation of games. And while we haven't had a new BioShock game in a long time, this game really does hold up on its own even now, and it's a great experience for people who are looking for maybe a more story-driven narrative to play through. Alright, so next up on the Game Pass, we already have Halo 1, 2, 3, ODST, and 4, including the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Halo Wars 2, and Halo Spartan Assault, all available for free play with the Xbox Live Game Pass. But for whatever reason, it feels like Halo Reach just gets forgotten about all the time, and Halo Reach is not available on Xbox Game Pass. It's backwards compatible, so the game is able to be played on an Xbox One, but why is this one game left out? And do note, I am recording this before the Master Chief Collection announcement that's coming out next week. Maybe Halo Reach will be added in, or at least put onto the Game Pass, but if it's added to the Master Chief Collection, that would be even better. But Halo Reach is such a great game. It has such a unique story that ties everything together, and the importance of what happened on Reach, and just the way that this story serves as a prequel to the first Halo game. And even though it's kind of detached, it's still kind of connected at the same time, and it was just a great story alone, let alone the multiplayer was really different from the rest of the Halo games, but in its own right, it was fun, and custom games and Firefight were A+. Alright, next up, also coming from Bungie, Destiny 2, at least the base version of this game, should be put onto the Xbox Live Game Pass. With Bungie leaving Activision to go on their own way and become their own publisher, Destiny 2 is kind of left in this awkward place where the support for it kind of slowed down because obviously that whole disengagement between the two companies is going on. And what better way to kind of show a great game in the Game Pass to newer players or people who are looking for something they might not have tried out yet than put a huge game like Destiny 2 that's only a couple years old in there. While the game does have its issues, at the core, if this game was put into a free access through the Game Pass service, it could be a really great experience for people who are just looking for a simple story to play through, and maybe they'll fall in love with the whole looting system and that style of gameplay as well. Overall, Destiny 2 is a beautiful looking game and definitely has a lot of fun fight moments. And finally, this one is still a surprise that it's not on the Game Pass yet, but the Dark Souls trilogy. There's a ton of casual games on the Game Pass, games that any kid could just pick up and play, and that's great for those type of players. But what about the people who really want a challenge? The people that want something that's gonna show them no mercy all the way through? We need something, and Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 come to mind. Plus, I honestly feel like Xbox needs to start emphasizing emphasizing how awesome getting gamer score is once again. I feel like it's been de-emphasized over the past couple years. And Dark Souls has some pretty challenging things that you can do for achievements, and it'd be really cool to see this game in the Game Pass so people can try their luck in a game that's this difficult. But those are our 9 picks. What games would you like to see in the Game Pass? Let us know in the comments section down below. If you like these videos on Xbox or just Xbox retrospectives, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on, because we put out a new video somewhat relating to the Xbox every other day pretty much. So be sure to stick around if you guys like that type of content. We'll see you all next time with a brand new video.